so much to do. One of the things that, as we ponder the roles of Rotary action groups across Rotary, did you see how many areas of focus are under the umbrella of the environment? There are 17 areas of focus, and our action group is responsible for 1/3 of them. Carl's asked a great question about single-use plastics and ways to get stores to reduce plastics or encourage non-plastic niche stores. Well, it really breaks my heart to buy a bottle of water. I try to always have a bottle of water, an empty bottle with me, so that I could fill it up. And if we don't buy what they offer us in plastic, they might quit offering us. But I realize that's kind of a facile answer. We have a plastics engineer, Franz Muller from Italy,
Wow.
who is working with the development of bioplastics so that at least the feedstock is more digestible when it gets into the environment. Not necessarily not degradable. I remember a biodegradable cornstarch bag, and it was still there. It was just in smaller pieces. So it's really complex. Dennis, I'd be happy to, if people want a copy of my slides or my script, I'd be happy to put them, make them available to people, but I will need an email address, and maybe you can put that in the chat. Or if I put my contact information again in the chat, people can contact me.
There's a good comment about pass to pollinators there as well, Karen.
Yep, that's from Tina. Tina is working with a project area in SREG, and they're doing events. She's given us a fair amount of information about it by giving us her Facebook link. There are people working on pollinators in the US. There's a great deal of interest about monarchs. We're working with the National Park Service and national heritage areas. And what monarchs need to make their long migration from Canada to Mexico is enough sap to drink, enough sap to sip along the way. And so you can't have that without pollinator gardens. Christine, do you want to give a little infomercial? She's unmuted.
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we could win with bingo. How many times people say that on Zoom or this? Yeah, well, thank you, Karen. And you did show, if people go to the website Operation Pollination, it is a nationwide project of SRAG. And myself and Chris Stein, who works actually for the National Park Service, our mission kind of in life right now is to reach out and give talks to as many clubs as we can, because we really think if your club may be a little hesitant or not sure about how they want to approach environmental projects, pollinator projects are probably one of the most warm, fuzzy, and just really good for you and good for the environment ways you can go with a environmental project. And it's a big tent. There's a lot of different things you can go and do with pollinators. And Karen mentioned we're also partnering with another nonprofit called Monarch Sister Schools. And that's so that's specifically a monarch project, and Operation Pollination is much more than monarchs. It's all kinds of pollinators. But the Monarch Sister School project actually offers a Rotary Club a pretty inexpensive way to be hooked to a school in Mexico where they are growing the trees that the butterflies need in the winter, the oyamel, and then hooked to a school here where they're growing pollinator plants for the monarchs to be on in the summer, and then linked classes of kids in both schools. And it's a really, talk about something that ties people together. I mean, these butterflies literally are tied to these two habitats and generationally go between them. So it's a great program. And again, for a couple $100, you can suddenly have an international project with a school in Mexico. So that's one of the low-hanging fruit that we're offering clubs. But we're also offering a forum of just how do you do a pollinator project? What are the first steps? How do you go about it? And then we also, I'm so glad Karen talked about infrastructure and about human-powered paths, because this forum is also searching for clubs that both have done projects, and we want to try to really try to summarize throughout Rotary the incredible impact Rotarians have already had on rail trails and paths across the country. So we think there's kind of this unsung hero probably story out there where Rotarians have been facilitators and catalysts for lots of projects. And there's huge opportunity in the next 4 years for Rotary to get even more involved. And if I've tickled your interest at all, we do have a speaker on the 30th of this month, and you can go to the Facebook page, Paths of Pollinators, and she is specifically going to talk about trails and some of the ways that Rotary has and can do trails. She will be Iowa specific, but it really is applicable for any state. So please join us and check out the Facebook page. And thank you, Karen, for letting me do an infomercial.
You're most welcome. I see other people have. Yes, I know Rajnik. I was so crazed, I didn't even have time to send her a special note to make sure she was on the call tonight. It's been wild.
So you got plastics and pollinators and solar power. I mean, you're covering just.
There's tremendous. Well, the scope is very wide, and what we're finding is that there's been a bottled up interest about the environment, and because there wasn't an area of focus and there wasn't an action group, it was very hard to find each other. Until Ian Risley was president, you couldn't even search the project showcase on the word environment. We're talking about trees, and he called me to Evanston to meet him and talk about how we could support him. And I said, you know, you can't even search on trees. And he called somebody and made the word environment appear. Ian Risley is a real champion, and I've gotten to appear with him several times. It's been a rewarding, wild ride. And I didn't do it alone, of course. Tina's helped along the way. Mary Beth Brownie, Celine, Paul Reardon from our club. There have been lots of helpers in District 6250 and around the world.
Do you know what's going on with the planning event that SRAG is doing in October? Is there any details on that to share? Karen Aber put a post on that, so I just said,
yeah,
Environmental Week of Service in October.
I almost feel like greatness has been thrust upon me. I'm going to let the other Karen answer that one.
All right, I think if we hit her, she'll show up here. Karen, are you there?
Maybe she had to pop in and out of another room into another room.
I'm not exactly. Somehow we're supposed to be able to allow her in if she maybe if she shares her thing, or as you said, maybe she left.
There's Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hello. Karen is there. Karen, if you hit the share audio, the blue button, it should bring you in.
There she is.
And there is Heather Dyer, the queen of the last minute presentation delivery. Thank you, Heather.
You're most welcome, Karen.
She's done an amazing job in the back. I know what it's like back there. It's just,
So for everyone listening, we anticipate a year from now celebrating all of the lasting change that Rotarians have brought to bear at TriCon. And in anticipation and response to just President-elect Shekar's request, the 3 district governors of the Wisconsin plus Minnesota and the Upper Peninsula, we're going to invite all of our clubs to participate in a day of service the first week in October, and we're going to be celebrating our new area of focus. And Karen, we hope to be celebrating you too.
Wow.
And we can just really, really generate all kinds of good ideas. Get outside. We'll all be safe by then, but we'll still be loving our great outdoors. And who knows what all we'll put into place. But that's what's planned. And so more to come.
What I'm excited, what I hope to see us do when we celebrate is not do a one and done, but do a first and next.
Yes,
So
we'll tee that up.
We dip our toes in the water.
Yes. The other thing we want to do is do a little club collaboration too. Shekar has asked that we get at least 2 clubs together. And so we'll encourage that. We'll encourage all these good things that will really grow Rotary service naturally in the environment.
Yep. So I've put my phone in the chat a couple of times. Karen, I hope you'll be able to grab it.
Yes, I was writing you an email when Mark called on me.
Cool. And Ann O'Burl, I bet your area code is 608, not 600.
I'm originally from the Detroit area, Karen, so I love to see the 313 too. So that's good to see.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm curious. I believe that starting the next cycle, that the environmental focus area is going to be we can do global grants for it. Are you aware of any global grants that are moving forward in the next cycle?
Well, they're not actually set up to receive them, and there's been a bit of a hold. At the foundation, there is an area of focus manager, and right now 6 areas. Well, actually, there are 5 managers for 6 areas of focus because John Wallen doubles in both maternal and child health and disease prevention and treatment. The job description they have written for the new area of focus manager for the environment is quite intimidating, and they haven't yet hired anyone. So that may slow down the grant thing a bit. The other thing that is a wake-up call for us in our clubs and our districts is the World Fund is pretty empty because so much was given out for COVID emergency relief. And that means that while the foundation will only begin to accept and process grants on July 1, there's not much money for any global grants. So if you want to do an environmental project in the next Rotary year, I would suggest that you get into that you work with the district grant person for a while. And that comes the second step of the request that I would be remiss if I didn't make. And we can now dedicate gifts to the environment when you make a gift to the foundation. You don't get Paul Harris points for it, but you can dedicate a gift to that. And one of the pitches that I made the trustees was that people would find their way to be generous with Rotary around the environment in new ways. And now it's time to live up to that. In order for Rotary to go on and fund the increased demand for grants in the environmental area of focus as well as the others, we need to be more generous with the foundation around that.
Okay.
And the next time you see Ian, tell him that I just said that because it's on my list of things I'm supposed to say. Hi, Carl. He says, good to see me again. It sounds like a line from my senator. So when I lived in Michigan, I had a senator who every time you met him, he'd look at you and he'd say, "It's so good to see you again," which left you saying, "Wow, he remembered me." But he did say it to everybody.
Just probably had a really good memory. So what, are there any particular types of projects? I'm on the International Service Committee with District 6250. So
Oh, good.
that's why Chuck asked me to help moderate this. But are there any particular types of projects or locations that you're hoping that eventually we can support? Either through district grants or global grants, or all of them.
It's a very wide range. There's an interesting. Wisconsin has cold places. The club in Waterville, Maine was mentioned once before tonight. There's a really interesting nonprofit called Window Dressers, and they have a little setup where they make very low-tech interior storm windows with custom cut wood pieces and plastic film. And it goes inside the window and it reduces your heat loss. So for someone who's having a hard time paying their heating bill or their air conditioning bill on a sweltering Wisconsin summer, those little inserts could be a club production project, could be installed in homes of people with lower income. And at the same time, it's a huge step for energy efficiency.
Wow. Sir, do you have a link? What?
It's called windowdressers.org. And right now they're just in Maine and Vermont, but I'd love to see them get bigger.
And are they related to SRAG? Do you have any members there?
We learned about them. We've had a lot of intro discussions with a lot of initiatives. They say with a new organization, you go through phases, forming, storming, norming, and finally performing. And sometimes I think we're spending too much time storming, but there's an awful lot to learn about. We're really encouraging clubs to take a look at the way they manage themselves, both from a carbon footprint and also there's a group that really wants you to look at food waste, since reducing food waste is a highly rated climate solution in the book Project Drawdown.
Okay.
And I see that Anne's sending me a note about refrigerant management. There's a lot of people who have a can of old CFC R11 or 12, and they're a really nasty greenhouse gas. And we're working with an enterprise in Chicago that helps collect them, package them off for destruction, and generates solid carbon credits that are immediate and permanent from that.
Wow.
So that's a group called Trade Water. I guess I could look at my script and look at some other to-go-to ideas. We're working with a group called Hand Wash in Haiti. It's a District 7020 is Barry Rassin's district, and it includes the island of Haiti. And they've put in place a really ambitious goal to bring potable water within a 500-meter walk of every household in Haiti. That's about a third of a mile walk. And they realized that it's not just drilling the wells and running the pipes. It's making sure that the aquifer will deliver enough water, because Haiti's been so deforested. So we're looking with the folks at Hand Wash about how we can help to stabilize their watershed. Carl Keisley said he didn't know. The group's actually in Illinois, but we can arrange pickup of your, we've been calling it feral freon. The website, Scott, is srag.org. And Mark Brose has very proactively put up our handbook, which has 10 action themes. websites are hard things to maintain, and we're trying to rebuild ours. So there's a lot of information on there, but I encourage using that little search spyglass at the top of our page.
Karen, I read through that handbook earlier today, and I thought it was actually very informative. So good job.
Thank you. Well, again, that was a team of editors. I did help, and we've gotten it translated into Spanish, and the European chapter of SRAG is working in French, on the French version. I guess what I have to say in closing is I have so many friends around the world I've never met in person because of the work of SRAG. And I really think that our tagline ought to be SRAG never sleeps. Because when I wake up in the morning, my WhatsApp chat stream is full of texts from India and Singapore and Tokyo. And I've never felt more connected with the world than I do with this.
Well, this is wonderful. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. And I think we're done, but if you didn't grab my chat and email from the chat stream, I'll put it in one more time. Please wait till next week. It's Earth Week, and I feel like one of Santa's helpers, the 23rd of December.
My experience too is that if you get a lot of emails, it really helps if somebody puts in the subject line Rotary, and probably SRAG would help you too.
Well, yeah. And you don't have to talk, you don't have to connect with me to go to the website and join SRAG and join. We had 8 people join SRAG on Sunday. It's very exciting. Peggy, it was good to see you. Thank you, Mark. And I think we can say goodbye.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks. Bye-bye.